welcome to the Collective Arcana, a channel all about tabletop gaming. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Wyatt.
And we're finally going to talk about the APG, which we've been waiting for...
Basically, my whole life,
His whole life, I would say, yeah. And, well, it kind of took a while to get here, and we didn't want to do a video until we had it in our hands. So, we have it, and then more life happened, and so we're late. But here we are now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still hyped. And we got to play a little bit.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Sort of. So, I'm going to be here as sort of the player who has not read it cover to cover. And Wyatt actually read it when he had the PDF version of it, so he is ready to go.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you take the lead here, and I'm just going to ask questions as they come up.
Sure. So, yes, the Advanced Player's Guide is out. Paizo has said that they consider this to be their sort of the capstone on what they are calling their core content. So it is as important, maybe not quite as important, but it's almost as important as the core rulebook, the bestiary, and the game mastery guide.
More important in this house.
So the reason that it's that important is, first of all, we'll get into everything that it covers, but just in general, it provides so many new options for making a character, from new ancestries, versatile heritages, which are a big deal, guys. They're so cool. But also a plethora of archetypes. When the game launched, you had multi-class archetypes that you could take to sacrifice your own class feats to gain class feats from another class. And then the Lost Omens World Guide added a few archetypes that were specific to different organizations and things. And, there's been a smattering here and there. But this adds about 40 archetypes that are not multi-class, that are not specific to organizations in the world. They are just things that you can sort of tack on to a core class to make it fit the exact mold and idea of your character concept. And that is what Pathfinder 1e and Pathfinder 2e are all about. So, and
why we prefer them. I mean, we were actually just talking about this today, all week, about just how much better the character creation is in, that other version.
Right. And not to, badmouth the distinguished companies.
No, definitely not.
We love it. We it's a wonderful game for us and for the types of games that we like to play and the type of fun that we like to have on the 8 types of fun concept. A big part of the appeal of these tabletop games is building a character that, I can sort of express myself or, just sort of make whatever I want, basically. And while that's true in any system, you can role play any character in any game. Pathfinder 2nd Edition does a really good job of making sure that you aren't just role-playing, but you've actually got mechanics to back up that concept so your character isn't sort of functionally all talk. Like, they can do what you want them to do. In addition to having the option to try doing it, they have options to succeed at it. And that's a big deal. Well,
and I think half of it, for us at least, and even our party really, we spend probably just as much time making characters that we'll never play and talking
about. Pathfinder 2e?
Yeah, Pathfinder 2. Yeah. So that's just as important to us as the game itself. So that's all I'm making, guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can play 5e if you love 5e. We watch 5e. On Critical Role.
Yep, it's a great game. It's led to a massive boom in the hobby, which is nothing but good for everyone in the hobby.
But anyway, that's not the point. My point is, this
right.
expands on the reason that we have chosen Pathfinder, and I think, because this is sort of, this is like candy. Like, it's just more of what we're doing outside of the game.
That's a great way to put it. It is just more deliciousness. Yeah. It's the candy coating. So let's sort of dive in and talk about, exactly what's in this book. We're not going to do a full rundown. We're not going to do a page through. No, we're not going to do a page through.
You should get it, though.
You should definitely get it. Even if you're just getting the PDF, it's going to support the publishers, which is always a good thing. And you'll get access to all this great art.
The art's so good.
Even when you're using things like the Archives of Nethys, you're missing out on a lot of the presentation. And for example, while it was, so, as you said, we had a delay in getting ours with COVID and with a very successful Kickstarter, and the launch of the APG. Paizo was just, having a little bit of difficulty getting everything out. Totally okay. But it did mean we had some delay on it. But it had come out on the archives a little bit sooner, but it was just so hard to parse, all the new things without seeing them in one place. So.
And it's just like I think it's set up the way the way they have their like organization in this book. I hate looking up stuff online. I like the book, but it has like the chapter tab thingies. I don't know if you guys have seen the core books, but it's really straightforward. Like, it's just easier to flip through, I feel like. So, yeah, I wanted to wait for it to get here before.
Yeah, she wasn't even interested in looking at the PDFs at all.
I didn't look at them. Well, maybe The Witch, but that's because I'm playing The Witch. But
yeah, specifically The Witch. So, so this one, as she said, just like the core rule book, this one's going to start you off with Ancestries. And, it's the ABCs of character creation in Pathfinder. So then it goes into backgrounds and then finally into the new classes and the new options for the classes that already exist. So, and that's really all that's in this book. There's certainly some items, especially talking, in terms of alchemy recipes and things. They really expanded on that, which is something that in our alchemist video we talked about, the more formulas you can get, somewhere right here, wherever you decide to put it. The new formulas are just going to continue to add the power and options to what is already a slightly underpowered but incredibly versatile class in the Alchemist. So, great, wonderful to have here. Every Alchemist should be happy, even if you're not using any of the new class feats or subclasses in here, but it's just incredible.
Do we need to, kind of look at the chapters, or do you have it memorized?
I don't have it quite memorized yet.
I feel like he's just verbally reiterated this entire book to me. I'm not gonna lie.
I probably have. So right here we have Kobold. I believe if we go.
Well, I was just looking at
sooner, we might have Catfolk.
Oh, you're going through each one?
Yes. Well, it's we'll just talk about them in that order. So you have the Catfolk.
We are going to read you the book.
So you have the new Ancestries are Catfolk, which are these sort of very curious and quirky sort of characters. They have options for natural claw attacks, heightened sensing and things like that. They also have a nice little luck trait that you can get with your Ancestry feats. It's a very fun sort of class. It's not as bestial as you may be thinking about. It's, definitely less Khajiit and a little more Hello Kitty. And that's kind of fun, that's, that we have orcs in this, so we don't need a big beastie, ancestry. So I think there's a lot of interesting concepts just reading through about the, sort of lore for Catfolk. And of course, we're homebrewers, so we're going to invent our own.
We would never.
But it's still really great to get inspiration and things like that. Like I was rereading through Orc and just gave me a great idea for my homebrew settings. So, stolen. I mean, that's how you do it. So we've got the Catfolk.
Kobolds.
Kobolds are next. Kobolds are these little egotistical little maniacs who think that they're dragons, even though they're obviously just weird little lizard boys or girls.
Cats.
Yeah, and so they are. Yeah, they are kind of cats, and they are, just these little hyper type A. type little characters. But they do have some options to bring forth those draconic powers and things like that. They also have a lot of powers that play into their boosted charisma stat. Things such as fainting and, just sort of cowering in fear, but it's a feint, to get to
you
drop their guard.
You couldn't play them before, right?
No.
I've fought them before, but...
So in first edition, I think they did release them pretty late but they were sort of famously underpowered. Like it became a thought exercise. How can you make this viable for a lot of builds? Just because they had, I think, a strength penalty. And here they do have a penalty to constitution, and they start with only like a 6 ancestry HP, which, is mitigated as you continue to level, but at low levels, that's a squishy. At level 1 and 2, you're going to notice only having 6. on your ancestry and that penalty to Constitution. Very easy to kill a kobold. And then what do we have next?
Orcs.
Orcs. My goodness, do I love orcs.
He really does.
My
Every time I'm like, play a one shot, what should I be? And he's always like, Orcs.
Orcs.
Which I did last time, just for you.
You did. Thank you. Kira Ragepaw.
Yeah.
And so, I love orcs. I love, as, back in the day with Tolkien, they were just these, mindless savages almost, or these very sort of dim-witted. And I love that as we've moved forward in the hobby, as the years have gone by, a lot of it certainly influenced by World of Warcraft and Thrall and their treatment of orcs. They've really grown into these sort of noble, very like almost Spartan, where yes, they're still brutish, yes, they're prone to violence, but they're no longer just mindless. They now have like a sense of honor, and they have actual values. And it's been really fun to watch that evolve as I've been in the hobby. And I really love what Pathfinder's done with them, especially in lore. The reason they've now become a playable ancestry is because the Whispering Tyrant got free, and orcs who believe that an honorable, glorious death is the best thing you can hope for, feel that necromancy dishonors the dead by robbing them of their glorious death. So, that's fun. And so they're joining up with the more, less aggressive. They're becoming a playable ancestry because of that shift in their mindset. Orcs rule.
How do you think he feels about orcs?
I love them. Thanks for asking.
How do you feel about rat folk?
The Isoki, as they call themselves in this campaign setting, rat folk are these sort of clever little, very versatile little people. They like to craft and things like that. I am most excited about Isoki just because I love the idea of mouse guard. And now you don't even have to play mouse guard. You can just be a bunch of mouses.
Mouses?
Mouses, yeah. That's how you say it.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. It's really fun how many of these little smaller ancestries that we've gotten. We got cats, birds, and mice in this. So that's fun.
Tingus? Is that how you say it?
Tingu.
Tingu. I am not a credited nerd, I guess.
Tingus are a crow people, raven people, whichever I guess you prefer. And I believe that there is at least one recent adventure path that had a Tingu who was like seagull, maybe. Don't quote me on that. So theoretically, there's different varieties. If you really want to be some kind of hawk person, there's a fair chance your game master will okay that. But they are, whereas Kinku in D&D 5e, and most versions of D&D, are small ancestors. These are medium. They are, so they're not quite, they're described as like hobgoblin height, not quite full human height, but, definitely not on the small side of the scale.
Are these the ones that you said were bigger than you expected?
Yes. I don't know why. I didn't have a lot of experience with Tingus in 1E, so I just assumed that they were small, like the Kinku that I knew from playing D&D 3.5. And I was very surprised when I got a random booster box of minis, and a Tingu was in there, and he was regular people size.
Yeah.
So, but they are very much based on. The Tingu are very much based on the Japanese mythology of the same creatures, which are these like crow raven type people that, sort of trickster spirits. And so, they have a lot of, sort of luck and superstition sort of powers and abilities. And, they're just a really interesting ancestry that would make a great witch, but they use it as their iconic oracle, actually. And so then we have versatile heritages. And if you're new to Pathfinder 2e, you don't know much about it. We've had two versatile heritages before. That's half-orc and half-elf. By the book, they can only be applied to human, but there was a note in there that, at that GM discretion. These could be applied to other ancestries. You could have a half-orc, half-dwarf kind of thing, or even a half-orc, half-elf, if that's what you're into. But these new versatile heritages are specifically open to all ancestries. So what do we have over here? So we have the Changelings, and Changelings are descended from Fae, and specifically they are descended from hags. And so depending on the type of hag that your mother was, you're going to have different hag abilities. Changelings always have one discolored eye based on their type of hag mother. That's how you can spot them, yeah. And these give various powers, like resistance to certain saves, as well as some natural claw attacks. So various interesting things that can work for a variety of builds. And again, you can plop those right down on any ancestry. So your changeling elf, your changeling orc, anything there. And then we have Dhampir, who are these half undead. The most interesting thing about Dhampir, and I'm sure this will be expanded on, for me, is that you get to pick the type of vampire that you're descended from.
That's fun.
Yeah, so there's only a couple options now.
We might have to do whole videos on these.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably not the worst idea. So the Dhampir is... they are unique in that they can be harmed by positive energy and healed by negative energy, which might give you some problems with your cleric in the party. But they're very much, if you want to build a blade type character, this is the way you go.
I've already started building my goth bard. Dhampir. Character.
I think it's going to be fun.
In a game we'll probably never play.
We'll get there. And then we have Planar Scions. So the Planar Scions represented here, and the reason they have their own category is because there's going to be more, spoiler. But we have the Aasimar, who are descended from Celestials, your angel type things. These have various powers based on the type of angel you're descended from. It, of course, goes up to and includes sprouting some wings, which...
cool.
Of course you're going to need wings if you're, some type of half angel. And they are, pretty classic. They've been around in D&D for a long time, as have the Tieflings, which are the half demon. And they, I should say that, Aasimar typically are distinguished by having, Sorry, we have a dog. I should say that Aasimar are typically distinguished by having metallic colored hair or sometimes other features. So that's kind of fun. And then the Tieflings, of course, are typically designated by having demon horns. Although, you might have a tail or both or anything like that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Bright red skin, however tropey and classical you want to go, but the rules are there for you to minimize that as well. So it's really your oyster there. The other is our Dusk Walkers. And so these are from the plane of shadow. And they get, the types of things you would expect. They have some ways to get bonuses in shadow and things like that. And they even get an ability to teleport to, plane shift to the Boneyard, which is, this campaign settings version of, sort of like the limbo type afterlife. And
I don't think I would want to do that.
No, but they get the ability to come back, so that's good. But it's a pretty cool thing to be able to do at high levels if you just need to get out of somewhere. It's an out of the frying pan into the fire sort of situation sometimes, but it's a really cool option. And and then you also get a few ancestry options for all of the core ancestries mentioned so far. The biggest one I feel there's some specific ones to the subcultures of humans that exist in the world of Golarion. Those, of course, can be used in your campaign setting however you see fit. You can remove the regional exception, or you can create new regions that would have those abilities. The big one for me is that halflings have a new sort of anti-luck sort of, for other people, heritage. So it's like a whole new type of halfling that you can be, and that's pretty fun. Because they normally have the lucky halfling type thing, but now there's one where you can like give bad luck to other people, and
that could be really fun.
Yeah, it combines well with the witch.
Yeah, those characters, what it does.
And then we get into backgrounds. Backgrounds are these, they're the ABCs, they're the middle part. It's what your character was up to before they started adventuring, or sometimes just in the early days of their adventuring. Now, some of the interesting ones, for me at least, are these ones they call rare ancestries, or backgrounds rather. And so one of them is you've died and come back. Oh. Yeah, and so, you sort of have a link to the boneyard in this case, but to the afterlife. There's another one that will be very interesting to power gamers, and that is the Amnesiac, where you don't remember who you are, so you don't get the lore or skill training that normally comes with a background, but in exchange, you get a 3rd ability score boost instead of the usual 2. You can only pick where 2 of them go, and the GM determines the 3rd based on what they know about your secret past life.
That could be good or bad.
It could be, yeah. But it's, it's definitely something, that is pretty fun. These are considered rare for a reason, because they can be abused. They are a bit more powerful overall than the standard backgrounds. And so you have to get explicit GM permission to use them. And that's good because every edgelord in the world would be playing the Amnesiac.
We have a whole party of them.
Mm-hmm. We don't know who we are.
That could be fun too.
It could, sure. Okay. Oh, so we're to classes now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't really want to read the book.
Right. So
he really wants to read the book to you.
So here's what I'll say. We've got 4 new classes. We've got the Investigator, the Oracle, the Swashbuckler, and the Witch. If you saw our video on the playtest, not much has changed in terms of what these classes are and why you should want to play them. They have not changed their roles or core ideas. They have all been retuned to work better than they did previously. There are a lot of new options because before it was pretty bare bones just to make sure that you had enough to build the character and test out some of the new concepts. Now they've all expanded with a lot of the things that you would expect, like Investigator gets a lot of rogue type things that you would expect them to have. Oracles and witches really opened up to a lot of the more classical spellcaster feats that weren't in the playtest because, again, they wanted you to try the new stuff and make sure that was working. Swashbuckler got a lot of fighter options and things like that, which, all stuff that we were expecting. And a lot of things got retuned and retooled. And overall, improved. I don't think anything that I've seen about these classes has made them any worse than they were before. The Investigator is as fun as ever. It's got it's got several subclasses, but at its core, you are playing a very Sherlock Holmes type character, and it won't work for every campaign. Honestly, it won't. But like it wouldn't work in our Roll20 campaign. Our live game, an Investigator would be awesome. But in that game, where there's so much, there's so many big events.
There's so much, period.
Yeah. So, they're pretty high level now, especially so, and they've had access to a boat for the entire campaign. Yeah. So getting them to stay anywhere long enough to get too involved in intrigue has been difficult. But so the Investigator is a really, really fun character. It's always good to have a new option for, a new way to play the skill monkey character, a sort of support character with unique options. So it's awesome. It's great. Look through it. I was one of those people who said, does this really need to be its own class? Couldn't this be a rogue subclass, which they added the mastermind, so it sort of is. But the Investigator really does bring a lot of cool stuff to the table. It's very fun.
I'm not going to flip to each one because I don't know what page it's on, and I don't want to make a sound with it.
So the Oracle is a pretty strange class in that you actually are choosing, amongst your positive options, you're choosing some negative options that happen to you. You choose what's called a mystery, and that gives you a set of focus spells, and it gives you a set of positive things that happen for you when you use those focus spells. It also gives you a series of bad things that happen to you when you use those focus spells. They vary widely in power and application. The Flames Oracle, for example, is a powerhouse. The Life Oracle is probably the best healer in the game. And I say that knowing that Cloistered Cleric exists. So, it's a very fun class. Not all of the mysteries are created equal, of course. The Ancestries one is pretty niche in terms of the types of character that I would want to take, because you roll a d4 and you take actions, and it determines what types of actions you have to take.
See, okay, so I've only ever played this one game really, well, 2 games really. Mm-hmm. This Oracle situation seems very confusing and stressful for a new player. It
is. I wouldn't recommend a new player play an Oracle.
We are going to have one in our next game, so
but he's a veteran. He's
going to watch from a distance because I think it sounds very interesting, but I don't think I'm ready for that. It's a lot of different rules. It is. It's a lot of different rules, and it's very much a risk-reward type situation. I mean, some of those high-level flaws and things that it gives you, I can't remember the term that they use, but as your curse gets worse, I mean, it's pretty easy to kill yourself with some of them. Yeah. They lighten it up. You don't go unconscious anymore, I don't think. I think you have to really push yourself to go unconscious now. But it's a really fun class as well. And, if you don't mind the lows, the high points are very high with it. I'm looking forward to watching it. It's going to be fun. The Swashbuckler. So we have a Swashbuckler currently in our online campaign, and not through 1E, and then the playtest, homebrew, and now we're here. Yep, he's been a lot of different Swashbucklers. Yeah. Mostly what's happened is they have added, of course, some new, I can't remember the term they use, but new subclasses within it. The wit is my personal favorite. It's driven by you insulting people. It's Cyrano de Bergerac, and that's excellent. De Bergerac? Somebody tell me in the comments. They just spell it right. yeah, they just spell it. It doesn't help me at all. I have to watch the movie again and see how they say it. But they say it. It's the one I like is in French. So anyway, but the Swashbuckler is still filling that same role. It's still sort of a fighter/rogue. But it is a lot of fun. It encourages bad decisions, which is a lot of fun. A lot of your class is built on this concept of panache that you only get when you do things that are probably going to be risky. So it's really interesting to have a Swashbuckler in the party. I say that as the person who doesn't have to use up her spell slot saving him. For a long time, I was the only spellcaster, so I was just babysitting him, pulling him out of bellies of alligators and such. And whatever cliff he had decided to leap off of. Catching him from falling into lava. And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And then not a lot really got changed there. Some feats got moved around. A lot of fighter and rogue stuff got added in, as well as some duelist, I think. But nothing especially incredible, but it's a fun, good class. Didn't need a lot of changes, just some rebalancing, changed the order that some things progressed. And I think that's about it. And then we come to the witch, which is, you're playing a witch, you're playing a tiefling witch. This book really helped you out a lot. Except COVID. Yeah, our live game has been on a hiatus for months and months. Which is unfortunate because So I felt like I was falling behind a little bit as the witch in our party. What level are we? You just hit 10. 10? Mm-hmm. And so I was really excited for the APG to come out, and then it was it's going to be in a couple months, and then COVID started happening, and then COVID's still happening, and we haven't had our game, so we've had this for a while, but we haven't actually got to try it out yet. But from what I read, and I'm just talking because that's the only one I know. But from what I've read, it seems like a lot of the complaints that I had are fixed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I'm gonna go back to liking the witch like I did, when I first started. Because it felt strong and balanced in the beginning, but as we leveled up, I was like not keeping up. And it was because I was spending so many actions on like these hexes that were, maybe the party got a little spoiled by, and then I was just like, I hex, like, and it became like, can't do anything except hex the same thing, or like fortune or misfortune and cackle, things like that. And then I was like, I only have one turn left, so I guess I'll move or something,
Yeah.
and so I got a little bored with that. But I think, from what I understand, is they fixed a lot of that.
Yes. So, first of all, they've made it so that a lot of your hexes are cantrips now, which is very good.
Instead of like focus spells.
They're still focus spells, but they're cantrip focus spells.
Yeah, but like before I had like a certain amount.
Yes. Before they all took a focus point.
It's been since last year, literally.
Yeah, I believe they all took a focus point before, but now there are your patron gives you at least one, I think, that you can use for free. And then they, I think many of them take cost reduced number of actions to one.
Like you can work to build so they take less.
Yeah, now it feels more like you have and I think they restricted it so that you can only do one hex per round now as well. So you won't feel compelled or obligated to, and that could have been a rule in the playtest that I just missed as well, but now you don't feel obligated to just continue to hex. Now a hex is just a really great option for you to do when you've already used 2 actions to cast a spell and don't know what else to do. So,
which is what focus spells typically do. More importantly, though, I feel like the familiar got beefed up a ton.
Oh boy, did it!
Yeah, that part's exciting.
So the familiar really got expanded upon. Lots and lots of new abilities. I am drawing a blank on what they are right now, but there's a good list of like 10 of them or so.
Are they on this side?
It'd be might be right before that. Yeah, it should be this page.
Wizard.
No, that's wizard.
Yeah, wizard.
I know it'd be further, maybe after animal companions, but after the wizard. Yes. Okay. So yes. So you get
a fairy dragon.
Well, yeah. So in addition to these awesome options, one of them is Master's Form. So your familiar can take a humanoid form. It's always got a set humanoid form, but it's the same ancestry that you are. So you just have like this person who walks around with you.
I don't like that.
It's weird, yeah. You can even give spells to your familiar to cast. So a lot of great options there. The big one for me, the big change familiar are these specific familiars. So by spending a certain number of your master and familiar points, which you get a set number per day, the witch gets extra, and then you can continue to gain more as a witch. But wizards and everyone who has access to familiars gets a few points with ways to get more. But basically, by sacrificing a number of points of those master familiar points, instead of selecting specific buffs, you can now buy fancy familiars. You're not really buying them.
I missed this whole page.
You're not really buying them, but you're sacrificing your points to get something that has unique abilities out of the gate. A spell slime. Cool. It's an ooze. It's a little ooze friend. Cool. It's cute AF. Okay.
Ruga would love that.
You've got an imp and a fairy dragon are what we have so far. I think that's the only 3 that we have.
Them all?
You actually... No, I don't think you can have them all.
I could have them all.
You can have them all.
I'm going to catch them all.
Archetypes. So this, as you can sort of see...
You do not have to...
We're not going to go through them.
There's a lot.
We're not going to go through them all. As you can see, this whole part of the book here is pretty much archetypes. So, there's some general feats. There's about... 20-ish or maybe 80 pages of spells, including focus spells and things. But a lot of that is archetypes. Each archetype takes up a couple of pages on its own. 1 to 2 pages, I think 1 to 2 pages. Some of them might take more. But these are what we were talking about. These are Those are the multi-class ones. But these are ways that you can just stack whole new concepts onto an existing character. There's Celebrity, Dragon Disciple.
Also, this art, though.
Yeah, the art is really, really fun. There's Eldritch Archer, where you can, add spells to your effects. The Gladiator, which is very, very fun. So there's just, again...
a lot.
Yeah, I will go through them all, so we can't...
Yeah, I can't keep flipping the pages, so I stopped because he was reading them as I was going.
But they are, you can have a minimal buy-in. You can just take the dedication if you want. You can also, make it so that as soon as you get that dedication, you're just forsaking your main class feats and just taking these. And what's cool about that in Pathfinder 2nd Edition is if, you're a wizard who wants to become an herbalist, you're still going to get all your spell slots. Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal. Your spell proficiencies are going to continue to advance. Even if you don't take another wizard feat after you start taking those herbalist feats. And that's really, really cool. That you're still getting the crux of that class, but you're able to add this really unique option on top. The other thing that's cool, if you're coming from 5th edition, these archetypes are universal. They can apply to every single character. Some of them,
cool.
It's so cool. Some of them have minimum requirements. Mostly the multi-class archetypes might require you to have a certain ability score at least 14, which is usually an ability score you'll want to use any of those abilities, so it's not a problem. And I know that some of the organization ones will have some really specific in-game options that you might have, prerequisites that you might have to hit, the Hell Knights. I think, it's the Hell Knights. You have to have slain a demon in singles combat.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so you can't be a Hell Knight unless you can kill a demon one-on-one.
You build your whole character around earning one.
Exactly, and that's what's really cool about those lore-heavy ones, especially the ones related to organizations. And as homebrewers, it's fun to try to work those into your campaign as well. But just the idea that you're, as she said, she instantly had a whole character concept based on that idea, meeting those prerequisites and becoming that character. And her character concept is very much one that's going to be invested in the world that you're playing in, whether that's the core world or a homebrew world. If you want to get your players excited and engaged in the world, these organization archetypes and just archetypes in general are a great way to do that, especially if you're using the Game Mastery Guide alternative rules, which I will be, where you give out free archetypes and free archetype feats. You can either just give a dedication if you're on the fence about it. Just give them a dedication. See how that goes. Just one free dedication. Just give them a taste. It's not gonna.
He's a very generous GM. He's always do you want more?
Yeah.
Do you want to do something weirder?
Well, the more you can do is the more fun that I can have.
We have a very colorful, and chaotic, and strange party.
We do.
Because of that. Because you're lenient.
Well, it's why I play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's because I want my players to be able to create the exact character that they want to play. And, the rules are facilitating it. Why wouldn't I try to facilitate it too?
Our game has made some very striking visuals in my head that, I'll never forget. Some of these fights are just you should be as weird as possible. I like that method that you use.
Yeah. I mean, and look, if you're playing a more by the book core system, that's great. That's fun too. That's wonderful. I'm really excited right now as we're nearing the end of one campaign. Thinking about the lower level adventures, and you can have some really fun times.
We're all having a hard time too because this came out and we're so invested in the current game, but all of these ideas, they're just.
Yeah, one player especially. I get a new text every couple of days. Wouldn't this character be cool? Yeah.
No, he swears this time.
Mm-hmm. I give it 3 months.
Yeah, I
give
do
it
too.
3 months.
And then the day before.
I don't know. I offered him, and I don't know if he's talked to you about it, but I offered him something pretty cool, and I don't see him backing out of it. So
we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. But so these archetypes are excellent. There's a million of them. You really should, if you're a GM, consider at least at least giving a free archetype feat to your players so they can either round out a character concept or, like I said, so you can hook them in to a part of your world and get them invested in, either a new region, NPC, conflict, whatever it is. It's not just a tool for them, it's a tool for you as a GM, and you're really sort of, throwing something out that could be useful if you're not taking advantage of it.
I wish that I would have started. So when I started the beginning of our game, which was Pathfinder First Edition, and it was a while, 2 years ago?
Yeah, just over 2 years ago.
I was so new that, I didn't realize how extremely customized. I thought anyone could be a weird changeling magus, but with, I don't know, he invented some changeling. Anyway, I thought it was just all straight out of the book, because I didn't even look at the book. I was just and I got so lost. So my backstory, she had no purpose. She still really doesn't now. That is her purpose. Is not. And anyway, it would have been nice to have started her with something like that. And I also feel like it would have been easier as a new player to start with 2E. So much easier, because I loved playing 1E, but this is just 2E is so much easier to learn on. And so if you have new players who are kind of struggling with their character ideas, start there. Start with that instead of class. Don't start with class.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that's a great idea. Actually, to just have them.
I'm going to do going forward, except not really when play rogue. But other than that.
But yeah, just look at archetypes, run through there, because that is a much more specific character concept. If somebody's not sure the kind of thing they want to play, get them inspired with an archtype, and then find a class.
From there, they'll be like, well, if I'm this, then I guess I would have magic, and then they might, it might be easier. I wish I could have done it that way, but I don't feel like it was structured the same way.
Well, she also was a magus, which wasn't too bad when we first started. It's one of the more complicated classes in 1E, just because of the way Spell Strike works, and then your arcane pool and things like that. As opposed to a fighter or even a wizard who's just, these are my spell slots. But then we switched partway through 1E to the Unchained Action Economy, which Magus just honestly did not work. Our Magus and Swashbuckler had a lot of trouble porting into it, because the Swashbuckler relied so much on free actions, which are very limited in the 3-action economy, and her Magus relied on Spell Strike, which is just...
It got messy.
Yeah. So, we eventually figured it out. We had to do a little homebrewing for her and but we got there, and then 1E came out. 2E came out. And then, so we waited.
Now I'm a sorceress.
Yes, she's a sorceress now.
And I love it. And I wish I would have just started as one.
But you wanted that sword.
At what price? What? Because, I'm cool without it now. Yeah,
but you were way cooler before when you were, blinking around to fight, delivering a bunch of damage through. But anyway. Now you're a sorcerer. It's very strong. It's very, it's a lot simpler. But, I don't know, is it as cool? No, it's not.
I think I'm cool.
You're cool. Everybody's cool. But a magus is just, it's fun. And we'll get to some fun announcements regarding Magus here at the end.
Might be a Magus again.
So the feats that are added are primarily skill and general feats. The skill feats are very nice because, especially in the core rulebook, which is where we're getting most of them so far, aside from the odd one here and there from adventure paths and things. They were very specific, but this has really widened them out and gives you, so you're not just I'm deception, so I tell lies, and that's all my feats do. There's a lot more going on now.
I don't know, all of mine have accidentally become
lies,
deception based. I don't know why.
So you're a changeling.
Complete accident, though.
When we say changeling, she's based on the Eberron version of changeling, where she can actually just change her form to another similarly sized humanoid.
So so where does that land in this book, by the way? Where I'm going to be a water djinn or a genie or something.
And we'll get to that at the end as well.
Is that not part of it?
So that was back in the class option. So every class got a bunch of new options. As she said, sorcerer, she was playing a primal sorcerer with, for the water. Well, she was playing an elemental sorcerer.
Do you see why I was confused?
She was playing an elemental sorcerer, and I'm talking about Tilly now. The elemental sorcerer, but she wanted the arcane spell list because it was closer. That gave her access to more of the spells she was using before, but it let her keep the aquatic theme because she was an Eldritch Scion magus, which sort of had a sorcerer or blood rager bloodline tacked on. So she liked the flavor of that, but most of her spells were now not on the primal list, so she went arcane. But now there's an actual elemental arcane in the form of the Geniekin, the
super cool.
It's very cool. And they're applying a lot of the deception stuff that you've been leaning to the last few levels anyway, so it's really sort of a boost up there.
See, in that way, my story's working itself out just by what I'm picking.
Thanks, Paizo.
Yeah, good, because I didn't have one. But that's what we're doing, basically, is we're kind of like rebuilding our characters a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they're
Which
about to
might be a crazy thing to do in the middle of a game, but...
That's our third time. So.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, everyone's kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, I expect Saber to change the least just because...
He just started.
Yeah, he just started, and he's probably not found things that he hates about his character.
He's a druid now.
We had to replace our champion who's on hiatus for some real life stuff. He will be back. Alan, we need Starling soon.
Please come back.
So, so there we go. And so all the classes got new options. Some of them are just a few new feat options. Some of them are whole new subclasses. And then, there's a poisoner, alchemist now who's all about poisons.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of options there. Too many to go into.
Feels like you can just fine tune you don't even have to change your character. Just get some more fancy stuff. Some more bells and whistles for the concept you already had.
Yes. And that's the big thing again. You can, a lot of holes that, while it's robust just with the core rulebook, a lot of the holes that people found weren't able to quite make it. We found especially, and we have a very homebrewed team because we were trying to make them fit and still feel like their characters from 1E when we were moving over. So we had to do a lot of squinting, a lot of jostling to make things work. But with the options presented here, I think that, honestly, we have enough that we could have built what were already some strange concepts.
So if you're playing 1E now and you've been on the fence, do it now. Now is a good time to convert.
Yes.
That would have been a much smoother transition for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we couldn't wait. We were too excited.
So there's lots of new class options, of course. And then feats-wise, there's a lot of new great general feats that... There's a lot of great new skill feats that expand those so that each skill is now no longer got like one set tree. You've got options within that skill. And as that continues to expand, it's just the skill system is already great in 2E. It already feels like, they're so much more powerful and
so much cleaner too.
Yes.
It's like 4 dots now. You have to fill in. It's not.
That too. Yeah. It's a lot simpler, but you still have some granularity. So you can still say okay, but I'm better at this skill than that other skill, which is something that I always felt was missing from 5e. You have your ability score, of course, but your proficiency is either a binary yes or no. But with this, it feels more organic, the way that your character builds and the way they advance over time as well. So I love the skill system already. And then the way that skill feats expand on your options, it's what makes rogues feel like spellcasters in 2E, and they really do. They just have so many fun options. Speaking of spellcasters, we are at the spells chapter.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Look at that. Yeah, so, of course, my favorite part. I was so impressed with the new spells because... So, all of these spell slots that I'm neglecting, I'm now they're going to be used all up because they have so many good, mid-level spells. I have some really powerful high-level spells, obviously, but, 4th level spells. Who uses a 4th level spell anymore?
When you're level 7. Yeah, you got 7th level spells now.
Yeah. So, and I had the arcane spell list. So, like, I found so many. I've even found some, like, 1st and 2nd level spells that I feel like I'm going to use a ton. Because they're more, like, utility spells rather than trying to damage and stuff. Like the animated rope. What's that, like a level 1 spell?
Yeah.
There's so many uses for that. I don't touch my level 1 or 2 spells. I don't remember the last time.
Well, because you're a boon caster, and you know, like you play very aggressive with your spells. You know, you're not as utility as maybe Pathfinder 2E wants you to be sometimes.
But I try to be, though.
Right.
There's really not that many. Well, there wasn't very many options to be utility, because I actually do try to, when I pick out spells, take as many utility as I can, because I'm spontaneous, so it makes sense to do that. But they're just, like, I have fly. Half the party can fly and carry me, so I never use that.
That's true.
And, like, just stuff like that. And now I feel like they're so interesting. Like, they're such a weird spell.
Flesh wall. That's a dope spell.
You should just look up Flesh Wall. It's kind of a long description, so we won't read it. But
don't read it at night alone.
If you've seen Doctor Who, you might have some familiar imagery. Yeah, but what was that other one? There's spells that do negative.
Innervate.
What was it?
Persistent negative damage.
Persistent negative damage. Yeah,
yes,
I was
innervation is very cool.
4th level spell. I mean, and there wasn't like a lot of negative spell options for arcane, and there are a couple.
Yeah, Cult had some good ones, and of course Divine has a lot,
which is nice because like it's harder to have a resistance to or whatever.
You know what's still missing though, Paizo? Scorching Ray.
He's so mad about it.
It's my favorite spell.
I used the crap out of that spell before.
Scorching Ray, Paizo.
He's still more mad about it than I am.
Scorching Ray.
He's gonna keep saying that until it happens.
I'm going to. Every video from now on. I thought for sure we were going to get it in the APG. I was like, they'll get it.
Don't worry, they'll get it.
It's coming, guys. It's coming. It's coming. It's definitely coming.
Yeah, and then were there any spells that, like, you thought stood out? Because I read a couple to you.
So I actually, contrary to you, I have probably touched the spells the least. I'm a GM, and the only character I'm playing right now is a barbarian, so I just didn't have a lot.
It's not like you can't use them against us. Well, good. Don't look through them then.
There will be a flesh wall.
I'll get one too, and then you'll be sorry. I don't know if I can. Oh my god,
just mush them together.
Oh, I can't get one.
Is it occult?
It's divine, occult, and primal. Rika will get one, and then you'll be sorry if we ever play that game again. Oh man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great new focus spells as well. One thing that we didn't touch on that I just saw, evil champions are a thing now. So that's a real big...
I think we had a comment asking... I need to look on that. I think we had a comment a while back asking about what that would
somebody was asking what the neutral
No, it was like way back, like on your first champion video.
Well, they look nasty and fun. And if you have a cool GM like me...
The coolest.
I'm pretty cool, you guys.
He's pretty cool.
You might be able to talk a GM into certain ones of those feats. It's pretty hard to work them into a good guy build sometimes. But, like if you, for example, you promise to only use them on evil stuff, like demons, you can use the fear stuff, but only on that's cool. That's really cool. Which is sort of like the Hell Knight logic of they're technically not evil, they just care more about law than anything. And so they, use demon as inspiration.
Yeah.
To do sort of good work, sort of.
Sounds like Valonia.
Yeah. It's a lot like your friend Valonia. Focus spells are great. There's too many of these to go into. They're related to...
Can I just be girly for a second? There are a lot of spells that talk about glitter and stars, and I love it. My character is built around glitter. Okay, and one of these, I can't remember if it was a focus spell. I think it was the focus. Yeah, it was the focus spell.
Which
Because
one?
I've already flavored the elemental toss and stuff as like I'm throwing seashells and glitter and rocks, and like now it's like now you throw seashell, glitter, and rocks. Basically, not literally, but it does say glitter wherever it's at. Like there's a lot. It's just more like as somebody who I don't even want to say this on this channel. As somebody who doesn't care for Lord of the Rings.
We gotta get her, everybody! Everybody!
I'm more of a Buffy kind of, but like, colors. I want to see colors and lights and pretty things, and it just feels like this whole book has so many pretty spells for me. That is all. I'm done with my girly spiel.
No, it's important. But so, most of these focus spells are for the witch and the oracle, but they are, they're spread out among all the classes as well.
I found a couple that.
Now these are focus spells. So you have to be a certain class to take these.
Yeah. So like, what? That's weird.
I know. I just saw. Rangers get focus spells now, and that's pretty cool. So you can, without having to do a full multi-class archetype, you can get a few focus spells as a ranger. The classics, the ones you want, gravity weapon, so that your weapon hits harder. That's a classic for, your ranger builds. And there's also a, heal your pet, things like that. So they really took,
I really appreciate that too. Like this, be a little extra even if you don't have magic.
Mm-hmm. It really is fun because you may not want a character that's full blown into that, but you still want some unique thematic options. So the more classes that get focus spells, the better, in my opinion. Even if they're just as options, give them to a fighter. As somebody who, for the most part, I love when people steer away and play a fully martial character. I do love that because it's something that not a lot of people are drawn to. More so in Pathfinder 2e because the martials are so freaking good now. But it's something that you didn't see a lot, especially in other games like 1e. And so I always really liked to see it. I would get excited by it. And then, but I still would like the option to be there for my players if they wanted it. And so I really, really hope to see more of that added as we continue to go.
Just in general, not even just for the APG, but just the focus spell thing.
The concept of it
makes me so happy.
It is brilliant. And
I love it. And I took a feat to regain too, so I feel like I'm just but don't take that as better kill her.
No.
We have a really big fight coming up next week.
Where's that?
A really, really big fight.
It's going to be really fun.
And I'm glad I took the feat that gets me to focus spells.
You guys are not ready for that fight.
We're not ready. Is it him?
Who knows? And so...
This is a dragon. This is a dragon somebody's been asking me to paint. Is it him?
I don't know.
Oh no, he's freaking...
Oh no! You can't fight him now?
Can't fight him now. There he is.
Okay, so... but yeah, focus spells are, we talked about it before, they are a really great concept. It's nice to have not just cantrips that scale and are actually useful now. They're definitely your third rank option behind a spell slot and then a focus spell.
Not always.
Yeah, not always. There are some that are situationally
My higher level focus spells do really good damage.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's an issue because one thing I noticed in 2e is there seems to be a lot more area of effect spells.
Yes.
And that has become a problem for me because we have so many melee fighters in our party that I will kill all my friends with most of my spells. And so, one of the focus spells, you get to choose the shape of it, whether it's a line or cone or whatever. And it does pretty good damage. Mm-hmm. So, because it scales with you.
Mm-hmm. I really like that as well. It's something that Pathfinder 2e has done is there's a lot of spells where they sort of folded a couple of older spells into each other. Mm-hmm. And so they like Shadow Blast on the occult list is this Deals D8s. It's a pretty solid damage spell. It's not, the highest damage spell, but what it lacks in damage, you get to choose the type of damage that it deals when you cast it.
Which can be
a big deal. Yes. But, and you get to choose the shape of it when you cast it.
Yeah.
It's a very, very cool spell. So
I use that a lot. Not that spell, but the being able to change the shape is super useful. Mm-hmm. It's worth casting a lower level spell with less damage because,
just again, it comes down to how many tactical options you have and how much real valuable choice you have, not just in character creation, not just in game overall, but even round to round. How much you can just go with like the basic options, or you can really explore the myriad things that are at your disposal and really make the most of your round.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the APG. I was going to say that I think I'm going to change up all of my focus spells.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it because, the options in here are really good. Mm-hmm. Well, but you have to take, the matching ones, right? Yes.
So if you do switch over to the Merid.
It's a really hard choice. I'm really kind of stuck because these options are so good. Like, the Genie's Veil is a reaction. Do you know how valuable reactions are in Pathfinder 2e? In a party of 600 people?
Right. Just keeping engagement up, they're important, but also, having a way to contribute, not just keeping your boredom at bay, but because you've got to pay attention and,
as a spellcaster, that's never been a problem for me because I'm, trying to plan my turn out. Mm-hmm. But, this one helps you protect somebody with a reaction. I can give you a very long list of times I would have loved to use this to save my friends who later died. So Jimmy's going to be Genie veiled all the time. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to pick. I'm very torn.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah, there's new rituals too.
Yes, new rituals.
Feats. Yeah, it's not quite the same. I don't actually.
It's pretty similar. It gives you bonuses against specific types of mostly of saves instead of just flat on all will saves. So it's poison, disease, and fear, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's in some ways more broad, some ways more narrow, and also gives you some temporary HP.
I'm gonna say we don't take advantage of the rituals very much.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to just be spellcasters, right?
No, anybody can pick them up. There's a great archetype called the Ritualist that is just, you get a bunch of rituals. But no, I know that Starling had one or two that I'd given
He's him. He's our paladin.
Yeah, who's not around. And
does he watch these? Because I will beg
he does watch them, yeah. And so the you have the classics.
These are great.
Yes, they're very, very cool. I was actually looking through those because I was thinking about making a ritualist out of my barbarian, which is a thing that you can just do.
That's really cool.
It is really cool. Fits' theme so far. But it's either that or Beastmaster.
I will tell you what my vote is.
Beastmaster?
No.
Ritualist? You haven't met Mr. Champa, my Hellkite that I found.
Can he die?
Yeah, he could die.
Then don't do it. It's not worth it.
But so, there's teleportation circle, which is great. Just a lot of really fun options that, again, you don't have to be a spellcaster to pick these up. You don't have to invest class feats or anything like that. They take a long time, but they have really powerful and unique effects that are, in a lot of cases, stronger than, or at least earlier access to spells.
Well, I was looking at this Hero's Feast, and it's nature, religion, or occultism, so I can't even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's a secondary check.
Mm-hmm. But, you've got a druid in the party now, so they could definitely pick it up, and then you could assist with it.
Couldn't Jimmy do the nature one?
Jimmy could, yeah.
Just
Jimmy could
checks,
learn.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like we should be taking advantage of these.
We really probably should.
I think I did it one time, but I don't even remember what character it was or what the... Oh, Ruka, she, did she do a ritual talk to her spider fate god that I just met?
Yep. Yes, so the rituals are just, there's several of them now. Just a whole lot of fun. We've got some new treasures.
Yeah, some new items.
A lot of them, the majority of them are very much based on alchemy and things like that. There's a few new weapons.
Oh, class kits.
Yeah, for the new classes.
That's cool.
Yeah, just it's a great tool. Like if you just want to real quick have all your equipment at level 1.
I think that pretty much covers the advanced player's guide.
Yeah, I would say that it does.
And then some, and just Pathfinder 2e in general, in case you guys were confused about whether or not we enjoyed the game.
Yeah, we do. So one thing before we go, I do want to make let you know about a couple things, if you didn't already know. So the announced coming early next year or later this year, I can't remember, there's going to be an Ancestry guide. It's going to add a whole bunch of new Ancestries, such as a couple of pixies, a couple different types of little fae creatures. And then it's also going to add really cool kitsune, which are fox people with some magical...
Got some minis for that already.
We do, yeah. We haven't painted them yet, but, now we've got a great reason to. Tingu as well. We have a few unpainted Tingus.
Yeah, we sure do.
And so that's really interesting. It's also going to add more Planar Scions. It's going to add Geniekin so that you can be, on a Freedy, so you're from the plane of fire, and just add a whole template, sort of like how the Aasimar, Dusk Walker, and Tiefling do already. Just 7, or we'll have 4 more of those. So that's very fun and a lot of really neat thematic options. As a home brewer, I'm really excited about how I'm going to work that stuff in.
We should be about starting our new game by then.
We should either be starting it or have already started it, yeah.
Okay.
It really just depends on how the next, few sessions go. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then probably bigger news, more exciting news for a lot of people is the Secrets of Magic, I believe is what it's called, coming out next year, is going to add hundreds of new spells. It's going to add...
Maybe I won't play a rogue next. I'm having second thoughts all of a sudden.
It's going to add, we don't know, I'm sure a lot of options.
I love spell shopping. It's the best.
It's a lot of fun.
It's the best.
We know that it's going to probably add a lot of options for spellcasting classes that already exist. I'm expecting it to add some spellcasting classes to classes that don't naturally have it. But the 2 things we know are coming with it are the Magus, Pathfinder 2nd Edition Magus. We've seen a spell strike in one of the adventure paths, so it's a nice little teaser. Oh. We don't know how different it's going to be. That was just probably just a dry run, just see how it worked, and it was on a bad guy that you fought. So we'll see if how that translates. It's a pretty fun mechanic from that. But I'm sure the Magus is going to have a lot of other interesting tricks. It's going to be, what we know is that it's going to be it's going to get up to 9th level spells. It may not get 10th level spells. And it may only have 2 spell slots per spell level.
Okay.
But it's going to be a martial, it's going to be a true Gish, which is already pretty easy to make in Pathfinder, the way the multiclassing works. You can continue to advance as a fighter and also pick up some spell casting, but this is going
to do a one-shot or something.
We're going to have to
because I want to feel what that feels like versus 1E.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see how they take advantage of the action economy.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the Magus didn't translate super well to the 3 action economy.
We tried a lot of different things.
We did. So I'm pretty excited to see how they work it in on a system that's already built for the 3 actions.
I'm going to laugh so hard if it's exactly what you were doing. It's not like it will be the first time.
That's true. But so I think that they've surprised me in so many ways with a lot of just brilliant little things that are just making great use of the wonderful system that they've built. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. The other one is the Summoner that in 1E, So I'm assuming it's at least most of that's going to translate, or they would have called it something different. I mean, they changed Paladin, so they named it Champion. So I'm sure they would have come up with a different name if it wasn't similar. The Summoner has a pseudo-imaginary friend. It's kind of not an imaginary friend, but it looks how you want it. So it's like this special summon that's always with you. It's both animal companion and familiar at the same time in a lot of ways.
Can it die?
I am 100% certain that there will be some way for it to not be able to die, or if it does die, you can just snap it back into play.
Anything with a companion if it can die.
Well, and I'm sure if we don't have it already, I'll have to double check, but if we don't have it already, I'm sure there's a ritual to revive a fallen animal companion.
Oh, it's not too much.
I think familiars can already be, but again, I could be wrong. So it also focuses on summoning monsters, which is interesting because in Pathfinder 2e, they really toned down how summoning works. Mm-hmm. It used to be you could spend a couple of rounds and have so many monsters on the field that you could swarm an enemy. Oh. And it was an absolute nightmare as a GM.
Our battery's dying, so we probably need to wrap it up.
we will wrap it up.
We might get cut off.
But yeah, so the Summoner's we're gonna see how they're gonna make tweaks to how that works to allow for the new rules they have on summoning. But a lot of exciting stuff, and the play test for those two classes is coming in September.
We will be doing videos on that. This is what just happened. First, our battery died. Then we rambled on for,
10, 15 minutes?
10 or 15 minutes. And then I look over, and he doesn't have his mic on. So, we're going to go back, and I'm going to say, we're going to do a video on the playtest.
Yes, on the Magus and Summoner playtest for the Secrets of Magic book that's coming out next summer, tentative release date.
Yeah, so...
Playtest coming in September.
We won't ramble another 10 or 15 minutes, I guess. No. You're probably tired of hearing us ramble at this point.
Yes, this is definitely a long video. The battery died, so we know it's pretty long.
I do think I asked or mentioned...
oh, yes.
Let us know if because we've gotten a lot of comments of new players and new GMs, and it seems like, if you guys want something specific about, especially GMing and homebrewing, this your guy. So let us know, and we'll do a video on it. But yeah, I think we're just gonna quit there because sometimes we don't stop. So.
It's mostly my fault.
It's mostly his fault. Yeah,
it's all my fault.
He really likes Dungeons and Dragons.
I do. Pathfinder. Yeah, it's fun. That's it. Thanks so much for coming, and welcome to the collective.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. We need them, and like you said, comment down there so we know what kind of videos you want to see, so that we can keep giving you what you want, so we can stick around.
And we promise we're going to be a lot better about making videos as soon as the
jobs
chaos
calm down.
Yeah, basically all that's happened is that we're just working a lot of overtime, especially this one, and I need his brains. I mean, I can film all I want, but if there's no brains in front of it, I'm not going to get much done. So,
and she can only edit videos that we film.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to probably start doing some cosplay videos, maybe some crafty things.
Yeah, your Freya thing, or your Feya was really fun.
I cosplayed. Look.
Was it me? Was I the cosplay?
No, I put a picture up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, maybe a little more variety of videos, but it's still going to be all about Pathfinder, let's be honest. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just let us know. Thanks so much for the support. Really, welcome to the collective. We love being able to do these things for you, so let us know what you want to see.
We'll see you next time. Bye.